Howdy, howdy, Internet. Good to see everybody again from all across the world joining us here on Hop on Calls Live, powered by Kixie. I'm your host, Kevin Hopp. Cynthia, thank you for being with us today. How are you doing?
Really excited and happy to be here. I've watched your show so many times. I got so psyched when you actually invited me.
Ooh, there we go. Love that. Love that. We call that long-time listener, first-time caller. That's one of the ways we talk about that. Cynthia, where are you sitting? Is that that's a background, huh?
It's a background, but today, for those of you that don't follow me or LinkedIn, I am sitting in Honduras today.
Honduras.
Central America. Yes.
Love that. Cool. Do you live in Honduras full time?
I do. I work remotely and I travel between the States and Central America. Our offices are based in Boston, but we actually have offices in Costa Rica as well. So I travel between Honduras, Costa Rica, and the States. We're a fully global team. Our team is based out of Boston. We have people in Boston. We have people in Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Guatemala, El Salvador, Panama, everywhere. Exciting, right?
Yeah, very exciting. So talk a little bit about what you do in your background. Folks tuning in know me. I'm kind of the call guy here, but what's your background?
So I am the head of global sales for Samara. What Samara does is that we are a staff augmentation company and we act as a bridge between US and Canadian companies that want to hire Latin American talent. I actually lead, like I said, the BDR team. And we just started this really a cool sales academy, which is free for all Latin American aspiring BDRs or SDRs that want to get into tech sales, that want to learn how to be a BDR, learn better practices. We're actually on the second week of the second graduating class. And it's free, completely free, 2 hours a day. You get your certificate, a diploma, and you actually get placed to be hired by US companies.
Wow, cool beans.
Yeah.
Gotta love that. So do you have like an actual like call center or an area with like people in it?
No, we're a fully remote team. We're fully remote. We're a remote first company. So our founder is actually based out of Boston. Our head of inside sales is also based out of Boston. Mostly all of the US reps are based in Boston. We have a couple of customer success managers that are based in Latin America as well. All of my team is fully based in Central America. I have people in Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Guatemala, El Salvador, and Honduras. 5 countries.
Wow. Awesome. Awesome. We got some fans here already. Trisha Sorto, shout out. We got Francisco Molina, shout out. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Really appreciate that. Without any further ado, I'm going to start cold calling. We have a bit of technical difficulties today. Cynthia is not going to be making cold calls, but I'm going to be making cold calls. We can coach and train a little bit to what you're hearing on my side and talk about what's going on. But as I get going here, I'm going to jump in the queue. As always, for those tuning in, if it's your first time or if you're familiar, you're not going to hear both sides of the audio today, but you can always tune into the podcast. Go anywhere you find podcasts and look up Hop on Calls. You can hear both sides of the audio. Oh, shout out Chet. Thanks for tuning in, man. Hop on Sales has gone global. This is actually, you're actually the third person from outside the United States that is coming on the show. So I'm really happy about that.
Thank you for having me.
Cool beans. All right, so let me jump in. I'm going to be calling today for my client, Silver Sky. So we're going to be talking about cybersecurity, which is what I'm pitching today. So phone is ringing in my ear. Cynthia, question for you to start off. Is cold calling different outside of the United States in your experience?
Yes. Now that I work for a US company, it's completely different because remember that in Latin America and in Europe, WhatsApp is huge. Like people don't use iMessage. So before the pandemic, I used to work in sales. I was the head of actually business development for a company that owned malls in all of Latin America. And the way we did business was purely on WhatsApp. And what's cool about WhatsApp is
Interesting.
can actually send as many unsolicited messages as you can because it's completely legal. All you need is to actually have the cell phone number of the person you're sending that message out to, and that's the way you do business. You send out cold messages on WhatsApp, cold emails, and you're likely either to get a "I'm not interested" or "I'm interested" response via WhatsApp, and it's a lot easier because if cold texting was legal in the States, text is actually the easiest way to get to a prospect. So that's the way I used to do business. So when the pandemic happened, I was actually let go because malls were closed down in all of Latin America.
Yeah.
And I wanted to work remotely and I wanted to restart my career. So I applied to any job that was remote out there on LinkedIn. And I actually started as an SDR 3 years ago. And I started cold calling. Like I decided, like, I want to work in tech. I want to restart my whole career. This is the chance. This is the pandemic. Like I have to find something to do. I'm not going to eat like my severance money. Like I have to do something. So I got hired as an SDR for a company in Boston. Fun fact, I was selling car wash point of sale systems.
Wow.
So I had never been in sales in the States. Get cold calling in English because of course I was selling to only US Express car washes and selling car wash point of sale systems, which is a completely niche industry and a lot of technical language. So it was really like a school for me. I loved it and I learned so much. And that's where everything that I coached on my team and on our sales academy program, everything comes from my experiences, things that worked when I was an SDR, things that didn't work as an SDR. I actually got promoted to be an AE, which honestly, sorry for all of the AEs out there. I hate being an AE. I'm not into like the sales cycle. I love like fast things like booking that meeting, the rush and thrill that you get when you book that meeting. That's my thing. That's why I love coaching BDR teams and working with BDRs because I love that energy. I love the feeling. And I know what it feels like to be a BDR. And after I was an AE, like for a year, I got promoted to being an SDR manager. And I was in that position for 2 years before Samara called me and wanted me to be their head of global sales. So exciting journey. And I've learned a lot. It's been humbling. And I love training young BDRs and SDRs and helping them achieve their goals. I love it. It's my favorite thing in the entire world to coach them.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. Lot going on there. One of the things that I want to dig into there that you mentioned is WhatsApp. So with WhatsApp, you can send an unsolicited text message, and that's not illegal, right?
Yep. In the States, in Latin America,
hey, is this Joey?
It's completely legal.
Hey, Joey, how's it going? Kevin with Silver Sky here. How you doing today? Fantastic, Joey. Sounds I could hear that I got you out and about. Are you driving? Are you hands free right now? Okay, fantastic, Joey. I'm with a company called Silver Sky Technologies. We help businesses a bit like Horseshoe Bay take a proactive stance when it comes to cybersecurity. Oh, okay. Are you working in IT in a different business? Oh, mobile payment app company, huh? Right on. So do you? I'm assuming you guys have a bit of a cybersecurity infrastructure as well, too. Right on. Okay. So you guys have a lot of headcount, a lot of endpoints there, or is this like an early stage venture? Totally. Okay. All right, Joey. In that case, I will let you go. Have a great rest of your day. All right. Cheers.
Can I just say I love your tone of voice? Like you actually had me engaged in that call. I love it. Like it sounded like you used the warm and friendly tone. I love that.
Thank you. Thank you. I try to match whatever someone's giving me, because I find that
Mhm.
the more you can match the tone of what someone's presenting to you, the more likely they are to like understand and lean into it. What's been your experience with tone?
Yeah, so I normally try to do the warm and friendly, which is what I recommend most BDRs to do. But if you're not that acquainted or you don't feel very comfortable cold calling, you should stick to like the professional tone. I was actually having that conversation with Ronan Pissar last week, and
Oh, yeah.
Ronan says like there's three tones of voice, and it's very true. Like if you don't feel comfortable cold calling, and if you're not an experienced BDR, you should definitely stick to the professional and clean tone of voice that did all of your research. Warm and friendly is the best. And like for more experienced BDRs, I think humor, but humor comes naturally. Also, I couldn't help but notice you don't use openers like permission based openers, or you do.
I do, but so let's talk about that for a second. This is a good example of understanding what's going on the other side of the phone before jumping into my pitch. Now, what I mean by that is when the second this guy Joey connected to me, I heard all this like background, which anyone knows is he's driving in a car. Now, I advocate for always calling out what's going on in an individual's environment so that you can guard against what I call the false negative. The false negative is when someone is actually busy and they don't have time to talk, but they pick up the phone, which is, we can talk about it for a long time. The phenomenon of why do people pick up the phone when they can't talk, right? Like that sucks, but they do.
Mhm.
It's like human nature; they always do. Um, where was I going with this? So he picked up the phone and he was in the car. If someone's in the car and they're doing something, they're multitasking, the number one thing you want to do is say, "Hey, I want to have a conversation with you. Do you have time for a conversation? What are you doing?" And I checked that with him and he said, "Yeah, go ahead." And after that, that is my permission-based opener, right? But I bet, one of the next calls here, I bet we won't have that issue. So he was actually the wrong target for that. I mean, the data I have that I'm calling on right now should be very fresh. So I bet he moved over to that company pretty recently. So
Yeah, there's a lot of changes going on right now, especially because so many layoffs have been going on and it's happening a lot right now.
yeah, there's a lot of change up in terms of data. Man, it's funny that you mentioned that sending WhatsApp was a way that you had a lot of traction. I had a business partner in an outbound as a service company, and he
Mhm.
was convinced that he had figured out outbound. He's like, "Oh, I have it all figured out." He's like, "We're gonna text people." He's like, "Kevin, when's the last time you didn't respond to a text message?" I'm like, "Well, it's illegal." And he was like, "No, it's not. I'm going to find a way to make it not illegal." And then he did some research and found out that, yeah, in America, cold texting is very illegal. And
It's
people,
extremely illegal. The only way that you can actually text someone is if they fill out a form online and they give out their cell phone. That's the only way. Or if you there's like some ways around it. Like for example, if you call somebody and their voicemail says, "Please text me,"
yeah,
they're actually giving you permission to text them. Or when you cold call somebody and they text you back like, "Who is this?"
yep,
That's actually like
they
starting
initiate
a
it.
conversation. Exactly, initiation. But if they did not if it's a normal cold call, you should never follow up via text. Never, never. It's like the definite no.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate, right? Because texting is a very high response channel. And if you try to break that rule, like people get really angry. You know what I
They
mean?
do.
Like
Totally.
I've had some people say, "Well, I'm just going to try it," and then some of the text messages you get back are very angry and aggressive.
Your company, don't ever text me. Yeah, I know that's extremely illegal. Like if you get people pissed off via cold email, imagine cold texting people, that would really make them like freak out.
That's right. That's right. The debate like comes up every few months on LinkedIn. Like I see it, like someone starts a thread saying, cold texting is going into my workflow for the next da 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 da. And then everyone goes, yeah, I love texting. And then some people like me chime in and say, hey, you guys know that's super illegal, right?
Of course,
And
it
it's a
has to
debate
be
that goes
even
on
for
and on.
companies when you're doing text marketing campaigns, and like when people actually sign up for text marketing campaigns, they need to have like a double opt-in feature to actually be TCPA compliant, because that company in Boston that I told you that I used to work for before, they did a lot of text marketing campaigns. And when people signed up for text marketing, they have to have the opt-in and opt-out feature, and
Yeah.
all of the language that is sent in the text actually has to be like legal language and always have the option to opt out. So it's like a whole thing. It's not as easy as we think that cold texting is.
That's right. I think the thing that people get caught up on LinkedIn is they like cold texting is illegal. Texting people that you're actively in a sales cycle with is not illegal, and it's actually a really good idea. It's funny. I'm working a deal right now for a new
But
business.
you're already selling. It's practically
Yeah,
like
it's a
something that's going
relationship.
on. The prospect knows you. You're familiar to him.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And one of the things that I think salespeople they miss is this concept of like sales is just people selling to people. So interact with people the way that you would if it wasn't a sales cycle, right?
Exactly.
If you guys have this exchange of information back and forth, you don't have to keep it all corporate with these big long emails with 12.
Emails, exactly. And what I tell my team is that when you actually have a no show or a reschedule, it means that you can probably text that person back. Because
Yeah,
when somebody already agreed to a meeting and you called them to their phone, or they said yes to a meeting via email, you can follow up to rebook that meeting via text, because they already said yes to the meeting and they
right.
already know that you have their cell phone. So that's like another way around it. But these are like for what you said, when you're actually already booked the meeting or when you have like a sales process in place.
Right. Big fan of interacting with people wherever they're most responsive. Like, are you a texter? Are you a phone call person? Or are you whatever it might be? So talk to me a little bit about you mentioned you have a team today,
I do.
fairly large team. How big's your team?
30 people.
30 people. Wow. Yeah, that's
Yep.
a lot. That is a lot. By the way, just so people who are watching, I'm on 32 calls. We had one live call connect so far. I've had a few that have connected that were like false positives where I'm not going to talk because it wasn't a real person. It connected me to the voicemail or whatnot. But I am dialing. So while we're talking about your team, I might get a connect, hopefully get a connect here. So talk to me a bit about when you're building a 30-person team, what are some of the things you look for in SDRs, traits and background and skill set?
So I think that I look for two types of SDRs: those that have some sales experience and those that have the potential. I think potential is everything, and the energy, the vibes, and the willing to learn and accept feedback is what you need to be an SDR. Because I've met some people, great people that actually have a lot of experience in sales, but they're not willing to be coached. They're not willing to take feedback. And I have one of my BDRs. If you're listening, Celeste, this is for you. She was actually a graphic designer, and I've known her since she was like really young. She's high energy, she's contagious. And it's this person that I always knew that would be good at sales. And guess what? She's right now like the goat of the team. She's like awesome at what she does. And she was willing to be coached. She's 26 years old. And she never knew she had a career or a possibility in sales. And we coached her and we've helped her, and she's awesome at what she does. So I think potential is one of the biggest things when you're looking for BDRs.
Yeah, I tend to agree. It's funny. There is that problem you see on LinkedIn all the time of folks looking for an entry level. Oh, hey, this is Kevin with Silver Sky. How you doing today? Fantastic. Is it Stanley? Awesome. Stanley, I know I caught you out of the blue here on a Tuesday. Did I catch you with a minute to have do you have a minute to have a conversation, or are you heads down doing something else? Oh, okay, cool. It might be more than I need. Let's do that. Yeah, Stanley, that's a great place to start. Why am I calling, right? I'm with a business called Silver Sky Technologies. We specialize in helping businesses develop a proactive cybersecurity posture. And before you say it, I understand you have something in place when it comes to cybersecurity. Everybody does. Everybody should. It's 2023. Oh, really? G&A partners? Oh, okay. Okay, I have you down as being involved in information technology, manager of IT. Wrong title. Oh, okay, totally understand. Stanley, if you were me and you're just a dog barking up trees here, obviously I barked up the wrong tree. Who would I reach out to? Like if you were me and you had one name to say, hey, I need to talk to X person, who would that be? Nice. Okay, Stanley, thank you very much. I do appreciate that. All right, cheers. All righty, that sucks. So Stanley stopped me in my tracks as soon as he heard cybersecurity. Although he has a manager of IT title, he is not involved in cybersecurity in any way, shape, or form. And I asked politely for a referral. He did not give me a referral. He just told me to call the main line, which anyone who's made a lot of calls knows calling the main line is not really worth your time, I would argue, right? Unless you're working off of like a named account model, right? Let's say I can only sell to these 30 or 40 businesses because my company's big and it's all territoried up. Then call the main line and do some more digging and more discovery and more things like that. But for the approach that I generally teach people, calling the main line is kind of a waste of time. That's just me. What's your experience with that when someone says call the main line and ask for the person in charge of X? Cynthia?
Sorry, I was having internet problems. Can you repeat that? My internet was like.
Oh yeah, no worries. So that last call, Stanley told me to call the main line and ask for the person in charge of cyber.
But I heard your opener. My internet was still working, and I love that because I just heard that you told him, oh, that's actually more than what I need. So that was actually like a good opener. I love that opener.
Thank you. Yeah. So to Chet's point here, IT folks in particular are very, from what I've learned working with Silver Sky, they sell to IT. To Chet's point, it's hard to get an IT person to think, positively about giving you a referral somewhere in the organization. They tend to have a bit more of this like stiff arm mentality of like, I'm going to keep you on the outside looking in. I'm not going to like give you the insider information. I feel like with sales and marketing folks, if they hear you out and they think that what you're doing could be valuable, then they'll give you a named referral.
Also, when you're selling to IT folks, there's a lot of technical language involved sometimes. So if you don't speak the same language and you don't understand the product that you're selling, or if you're not familiar with that technical language, it's going to be.
Silver Sky, how you doing today?
Sorry.
I'm all right. I was actually looking for Van. Is this Van Nguyen? Shoot. Sorry about that. Wrong number. Hey,
it happens.
This is a great time. This is a great thing to say. Anybody out there that works at a data company, Hop on Calls is taking data sponsors. Okay, that was a wrong number. I'm not gonna, put someone on the spot. I'm not gonna put a vendor on the spot here, but like, I pulled this list from a very reputable data company. All right, let's just say that very reputable. And the data is not great.
But that's going on a lot right now. Like, we use an excellent prospecting tool as well. With so many layoffs going on, I think it's going on with all of the prospecting tools that you pull data off, because whenever like we make lists, like let's say that you make a 1,000 person list, it's like 200 jobs changes and you have to enrich the data. Or a lot of people, when my reps are actually calling them, it's like, I don't work for that company. I was laid off last week. And if you saw the news, Meta's laying off like 10,000 people like this week. I hadn't looked at the news until my boyfriend told me like 10,000 people. And I was like, oh my God, that's going to be like mass hysteria crazy.
Hey, this is Kevin with Silver Sky. How you doing today? I'm all right, David. I know I'm calling you out of the blue here, though. Did I catch you with a minute to have a conversation? Well, like I mentioned, I'm with a company called Silver Sky, and we help businesses a lot like yours develop a proactive cybersecurity posture. Before you mention it, I totally understand you have something in place when it comes to cybersecurity today. But when I speak with folks like yourself involved in IT and cyber, I consistently hear some of the same challenges around the lack of optics you might have into your outsourced program today, or limited bandwidth of your internal staff to handle remediation and respond to threats in a timely manner. David, any of that resonate with you? Okay, that makes a lot of sense. That last provider, Coro, I was not familiar with. Is that an outsourced provider, or you guys are managing this stack completely internally? Right. Okay. So they're third-party providers that are providing technology, but are they actively managing? Like, do you guys have a security operations center internally to manage and respond to threats in a timely fashion, or is that outsourced to one of these providers? Huh. Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Just for future reference, I'm not sure if you ever heard of Silver Sky Technologies at all. Right on, right on. Well, we're a leader in the cybersecurity space when it comes to managed detect and response. We have some proprietary technology of our own, some leading technology that leverages AI and things like that. But I'm sure a lot of people talk about having AI at this point. One of the things that differentiates us is the ability to partner very strategically with businesses like yours that have an existing technology stack. And it's not a rip and replace solution. We become that kind of outsourced trusted arm that handles cybersecurity and lets you and your internal IT staff do things at a much more strategic level that you don't have to be running around or suffering from alert fatigue or things like that. So, David, it sounds like you don't have any of the common problems that a lot of our customers had before they came to us. So, I guess the only takeaway here: do you mind if I send you some information so the next time you might be in the market for this, Silver Sky might come to mind? Awesome, David. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And you have a great rest of your day. Cheers. All righty. So that was a good conversation.
It was. It really was.
Yeah.
How many years have you been in sales?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, me. Oh, I've been in sales for what? This is 9 years. Long time.
Wow.
But
Wow.
when it comes to cold calling, this is what I do. This is what I teach. So it should be. You should think that I'm doing a good job.
But you call for different companies. That's what I caught off, right?
Well, so I actually don't. So I used to do that. I used to be the guy that like a hired gun, and I'd go to like a Silver Sky or another company and I'd say, "Hey, hire me to do your outbound." and then they pay me and I do that, right? I've evolved past that. So I got really, really good at being an individual caller. Then I started building companies that would say, hey, pay my company to do this, right? And then I would manage other people that did it. Then I've evolved past that to the point where I'm like, okay, I've done cold calling and built cold calling programs and process across many different avenues. So now with Silver Sky is a client that came to me and said, hey, we don't have a sales development team, but we want to build one. What should we compensate them? How should we structure the program? What can we reasonably expect? How do we enable them with technology and training and process? And I built the entire thing. So Silver Sky now has, they got 3 full-time reps, and I coach and train the Silver Sky reps. So part of what I'm doing here is just using their data and the pitch that I put together with their team to talk about what they do. But yeah, I don't work full time for Silver Sky or for any of these customers, any of my customers. I am fractional in that capacity. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's awesome because you're getting to know a lot of different industries. We do something similar at Samara. I actually coach BDRs for customers. It's part of what Samara offers. So I'm coaching them 2 times a week and listening to different pitches. We actually have somebody that's in the keto industry. We have somebody that's in the education industry. We have somebody that's in the coaching industry. So I'm learning like a lot of different industries, training reps from all types of industries as well.
Yeah, I find that the more that like companies think that they're all like kind of unique little flowers, but I've made cold calls and built cold calling campaigns for probably well over 50 different companies in the past 5-6 years. And they're not all different, right? And the things that you talk about on the phone are very similar for these companies, right? Because one of the things I'm dogmatic about, anyone who follows me has seen me do this before, this visual of business problems and valuable solutions are what you talk about on cold calls. You're trying to find a business challenge that someone has, a problem in their business, something that's not going right, something that they want to do better, and you connect it with a valuable solution that you have, and that becomes the reason for the meeting. It could be either one or the other is why they take the meeting, right? We talk about the business problem, and they say, "Yeah, I got that problem," and all you got to do is stop the show right then and there and say, "Hey, let's set a meeting to talk about that problem." Or, like in David's case, David, I went through the list of all the common problems. He said, we don't have that problem, and let me tell you why. And then he told me what he's doing to solve for this today. And then I asked him very specific questions about the providers that he had. I figured out that he has this kind of covered, so to speak. Then all I can do, if he doesn't have a business challenge, no business challenges, his business is fine. Valuable solutions might be the only thing he's interested in. So then I talked about what makes Silver Sky unique, better, and different in an effort for him to say, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, that sounds like something I actually want to dig into.
So you actually build the conversation flow, and you're right in what you're saying, because I think that especially when you're doing cold calls, everybody needs to have certain criteria, which is exactly the same for all of the companies. Like, are you talking to the decision maker? Are you talking to the contact that's the correct information? What is their problem? What is their buying window? What is their pain point? Like, what's the main pain point that they have, being any industry that they have? How is your solution going to help them solve their problem? So it's mainly basically, I call it the bingo sheet. It's mainly the 5 criteria that works for any industry, as long as you know that it fills those 5 criteria. I think it's the same.
Huh.
I hate scripts, just so that you know, but I think that if you're a new sales rep and you don't feel secure and you're not an experienced, you need to stick to a script until you get it right. Like, even professional salespeople need scripts or conversation flows.
Hey, this
Just
is
when you're
Silver Sky. How you doing today? I'm doing well. My name's Kevin. I'm with a company called Silver Sky. Is this Noshad? I'm with a company called Silver Sky. Noshad, did I catch you with a minute? It sounds like you're out and about. Are you driving? Yeah, Noshad, it's probably not a good time to have a conversation about business. Mind if I call you back another time? All right, bye-bye. Textbook. That was absolutely textbook, okay? let me tell you what just happened on that call. So Noshad picks up, lots of background noise.
I could hear that. He was on his car. You mentioned that. Yeah.
He actually told me, I said, are you in the car? And then he said, no, I'm walking across the street and it's really busy here. And I said, okay, cool. Not a good time to talk about business. I qualified why I'm calling, right? Which is important.
Yeah, it's like a sort of permission-based opener because you're acknowledging that you're calling on a sales-related call or something that's related to what they're doing. Yeah.
Well, so one of the concepts that I think is really important, that every single person you call wants to know the same things. Every single person you call wants to know the exact same things, and that is, who are you and why are you calling? And every single person, every single time, right? I think a lot of reps kind of forget about this, and they forget about it because internally at companies we talk about what we do and what we do and what we do, and it's all about this, and then you get all hyped up to like, oh, I'm gonna go sell some stuff today. I'm gonna go do this. I'm gonna go do that. You forget that every person you call doesn't care. They care about this first before anything else. Who are you and why are you calling? Now, one of the big problems, one of the things I cover a lot in my online course, by the way, and what I teach businesses is this isn't going to, the who are you is, I'm a stranger, and the why you're calling is to sell you stuff, right?
And they weren't expecting your call. Like, that's why it's never a good time to call because nobody's ever expecting your call. So you will always be interrupting them. That's what I tell my team. So you should never ask, is it a good time to call? Because it is never a good time to call.
Yep. And then, yeah, so Cynthia, I love that. You and I are thinking very similarly on that, because one of the gut reactions that SDRs and cold calling reps, they always say, if someone's busy, they say, okay, cool, when can I call you back? And exactly. I joke with them. I'm like, look, the correct answer to that is never.
Never. Exactly.
I didn't ask for this call. I don't want to buy your stuff. Right.
And you should never apologize. Like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm bothering you. Like, no, they already have you on the phone. It's an unsolicited call. So make the most out of those 10 seconds or whatever you have.
I could not agree more, Cynthia. We were very aligned on that. Love that. I'm jumping back into the queue here. We've had kind of 3 connects here, going on 58 dials on my side. Things are rolling. It's really interesting that we have a very similar philosophy here. You obviously have made a lot of cold calls.
I've got it so many people pissed off in my career. I think that even in Spanish, like I would get those messages like, Cynthia, stop calling me. I'm not interested. I'm not. And I was actually in real estate. So I would go like, I know you told me to never call you back, but I actually have something that I think you're going to find interesting. That's how I used to sell my spaces back in the day. I've always been like a very sales pushy person. And I think that sales is my one thing that I feel most natural with. I think I'm actually good with that. I love talking to people. But yes, it is, whenever you're selling, you need to like get away from that paralysis by analysis because they're not expecting your call. They don't want to talk to you. So like, get over it. That's what I tell my team. Like, cold calling's what it is. And the fact that I like talking to people doesn't mean that I like cold calling, because I don't. But it is what it is. It's the fastest way to reach people and talk to your prospects.
That's right. I think I'm a real weirdo, and I actually had a founder on a call call me a freak the other day because I told him, I'm like, I actually do like cold calling the way that I do it, the way that I teach. And a lot of the reps that have worked with me or that I've coached will tell you the same, that if you use structure, process, technology together, then all of a sudden cold calling is actually kind of nice because it's not listening to the phone ring. It's not taking forever to figure out who you're going to call that day. You don't have that pitter patter in your chest before the phone picks up because you have a process and a structure for how you call people so that it's formulaic. It's just a formula. And all I'm doing is just trying to get to the next person that wants to have a conversation. And I'm going to have that business conversation. And That's what my whole business is based off of, right? Like that's what Hopp Consulting Group is. And actually, I'm launching a new venture here in a few days with Ronen Passar, who you talked to last week. So
I know he's really nice. He's really nice.
Ronen's my guy. We are launching something really big, completely related to cold calling, very specifically. So we think that there's a huge opportunity to help.
Yeah, you two are like the expert cold callers, the goats of all time, the LinkedIn goats of all time, and cold calling. Because Ronan, he's really good too.
He definitely is. He definitely is. So I'm curious, what are your what's your take on technology in general? Do you think that technology is important to cold calling process?
I do. I think that having the appropriate tech stack is important. And having a power dialer is or is not important. It really depends on what you want to use. I have a lot of people that actually like to call manually. Some
Yeah.
people don't. They like to use a power dialer. But having a CRM, having a data enrichment tool is really important, especially when cold calling, because some of the reps that I'm actually coaching, we were like doing follow-up emails yesterday after cold calling, and they're like, oh my god, what is that tool that you're using for warm emails? And it's like, they were like, I even taught them how to write emails using Chat GPT if you don't have a warm email tool, and how you can fix those emails up. So yeah, technology is a huge part with cold calling, like the follow-up, because cold calling isn't just cold calling. There's a follow-up part that comes with it, like the follow-up email, the follow-up LinkedIn Connect, the message after that.
Right.
There's a lot what you have to put into the CRM, or if your CRM is integrated with your dialer, the call automatically logs into it. So there's a lot of things that revolve around it.
That's right. Could not agree more. One of the things that Ronan and I are passionate about together is the idea that it's not just cold calling that's going to transform your business. It's the idea that you lead with cold calling. You lead with the concept of, I want to have a conversation with every person in my market. I want to talk to them. And why is talking to them important? Because then you can figure out, am I selling to you now? Am I selling to you later? Or am I never selling to you? And that's what you want to do. You want to try to bucket your market into these three buckets of, I'm selling to you in the next 30 days. I'm selling to you in the next 2 quarters, or I'm going to sell to you over a year from now. And then you follow up accordingly, right? Cold outbound is the only purpose of cold outbound is to build follow-up, right? Like you
and some people forget that cold calling has something extremely important called voicemails. And the purpose of a voicemail is not to actually get a call back, but to build familiarity, because that voicemail is going to help your prospect remember, like, oh, that's the person that has been, when they see that email, that's the person that has been leaving me voicemails or calling me. And sometime, like you said, when are they going to buy? Sometime in the near future, when their buying window is closed, they're going to remember that specific rep that left voicemails and followed up with email. So there's like a huge, like, cold calling is the number one source from where reps should actually be booking meetings. And just like I said, the whole follow-up process, the email, the voicemail, the LinkedIn Connect works wonders if you know how to use the process appropriately.
That's right. Definitely agree. Interesting. Do you advocate reps leaving voicemails one by one or in an automated format?
It really depends on who the prospect is. And like, I encourage them to try different types of voicemails. Like, sometimes you leave information with your phone. Sometimes you don't leave any information if you're trying to get a call back. If it's an inbound lead, you definitely want to leave all of your information. So it really depends. And I encourage reps to find what works for you. Some people aren't comfortable with leaving like a full information voicemail. Some of them, I've seen some people go like, hi, this is Cynthia. Please give me a call back. And that stuff definitely going to turn you into that mysterious person that's always going to get callbacks. So you need to find what works for you.
That is very true. And you mentioned something there that's interesting, that it's different for inbound. That's a piece that, some people ask me. They say, hey, I have an inbound team versus an outbound team. Can you use the same exact methodology? And the short answer is not really. Like, it's different, right? Inbound people that are coming to you, you want to treat them differently than outbound. Meaning, yeah, I think it makes sense. If you get someone that calls or that submits a form inbound, comes inbound some way, call them and give them all of your information, because they will have
and call them ASAP. That's what I tell my team, because that person is like a warm meeting. Yes, it's like just waiting for you to book that meeting. If they already gave you their phone number, their email, actually took the time to go into your website or your LinkedIn or whatever, that's like practically a meeting. So you need to act fast.
Hey, this is Kevin with Silver Sky. How you doing today? Yeah, my name's Kevin. I'm actually with a company called Silver Sky Technology. Scott, I know I'm a bit of an interruption here. Did I catch you with a minute to have a cool conversation? Okay, fantastic. I can sense that you're hesitant. I'll get right to the point, right? So I'm with a business called Silver Sky. We help businesses similar to yours develop a proactive cybersecurity posture. And before you say it, I totally understand you have a cybersecurity plan in place. But the reason I'm reaching out, I hear folks with IT titles, manager, director, IT titles, they have consistent challenges, either around the lack of optics into their outsourced program or limited bandwidth if they're running cybersecurity internally. Like their staff just doesn't have enough hands to deal with and respond to threats in a timely manner. Any of this resonate with you, Scott? Oh, right on. Okay. Okay, cool. So I should call out for him. Quick question for you here, Scott. Do you mind when I give Matthew a call? Do you mind if I mention that we had a back and forth chat here, or do you want to keep this like our little secret? Oh, okay. No, totally. Okay, cool. Our little secret it is then, Scott. I'll give him a call. Scott, have a great rest of your day. Oh, there we go. That's a good referral. Really good referral. Called this guy. He's got a manager IT title. He said, I'm not the guy, but here's who is, and gave me a first and last name of the right person at this business that deals with cybersecurity.
Gold, right there. That little nugget is solid gold right there.
I'm writing this down.
And what did he say when you told him about let's keep this, or is it a secret? Did he say you could mention his name?
He said don't, because it doesn't matter. That's what he said. Now, what's funny, that's one of my favorite lines of all time to use.
Me too, because that's actually one of the best way to book meetings. Like, so and so gave me your number or asked me to call you, and they're like, "Oh, really?"
That's right. And getting them, getting the person you're calling to go from you're a stranger to, oh, Bob knows you. Oh, you know Bob.
Exactly. Right? It's like it changes the entire thing. It's like you're talking to an old friend now.
That's right. And then they get very honest with you and they can open up. So the reason that it's important to ask that, though, and this is like a really important point that I hope people watching take away from this. It's so important to ask that, because if you do that without permission, you could like torpedo the whole conversation before it happens.
Exactly. Or you can get a nasty email saying, "Why are you lying to my code?" That could be disastrous.
Yep. You want to lead with like an ethical approach at all times, and don't Don't lie to people. Don't say things that aren't true. So if we know that what we want is to have a warm conversation, and the warm conversation comes from that referral, just bring that up. Now, there's a little bit of magic too, by the way, in saying, do you want this to be our little secret? Most people laugh when I say that.
That was really good. I had never heard that before. And I loved it. Yeah.
Yeah. Most people laugh and they go like, oh, a secret? No, it's not a secret. Go ahead and tell them. Yeah, whatever. And then
that's another gold nugget right there. I'm writing it down. I love this.
Nice. So that's a really good little referral there. I documented that in my CRM. Another thing that's important for all those folks out there, I'm not going to stop and go after Matthew right now. Why? Because I'm in a call block, right? Time blocking and being diligent with your calendar is important. So I'm going to continue. I'm going to hit save and next. I wrote down all that information of the person I need to reach out to. And after this call block is done, I'm going to reach out to him directly. Staying focused is important. Oh, hey, this is Kevin with Silver Sky. Chris, how you doing today? Oh, shoot. Sorry about that. I'll reach out another time. Awesome. He said this is a bad time right now, right away.
Yeah, and never be that pushy rep. For those of you that are listening to when somebody says, like, I've had some people, I've listened to them say in calls like, okay, so can I call you back? Like, they already told you it's a bad time, or I'm in a meeting. Don't try to push more information because they're probably going to hang up.
That's right. This goes back to the point we were talking about a few minutes ago. If I were to say, all right, when can I call you back? The answer logically is never, dude. Never. I don't know who you are, and I don't know why you called. So I don't want you to call me back. I didn't ask for that.
Where did you get my number? Bro, it's 2022. If your number's on any data platform out there, it means it's public knowledge.
That's right.
So never respond to that. It's like, oh yeah, my marketing manager gave your number on a list, whatever.
That's right. Dante in here. Y'all are crushing it. What is your best tip for prospecting? Jeez, that's a good question.
That's a good one.
Best tip for prospecting? Pick up the phone.
Exactly. And do it every single day from Monday to Friday.
That's right. And what I mean by pick up the phone, Dante, when you look at your list of leads, when you're looking inside of your CRM or your sales engagement platform, you're seeing this list of people, your focus should be, how can I understand where each one of these people is when it comes to business problems and their interest in a potential valuable solution, right? And so if you think about that, you're like, okay, I want to understand how this person on this list, where they're at with this business problem in their business, so that I can understand if I'm selling to them now, later, or never. And then that's the whole process, right? As this LinkedIn user says, buckets. It's weird that some of the LinkedIn people don't come through, so I don't know who this was, but hashtag buckets. That is a very, very true thing. If you have that philosophy, you're going to then think, right? If my goal is to have conversations with everybody and understand where they're at in their business, then the next natural thing is, what's the fastest way to have a conversation with somebody? Call them. It's not more complicated than that. Now, there's more nuance to it, because guess what? You can't call everybody, right? Why? Because you can't find everybody's number. Not everybody picks up their phone. That's a big problem, right? And if that's the case, then it's like, dang, I'm going to call people I can call, but I'm going to leverage other channels to try and get a conversation, a back and forth dialogue going with people. I think one of the biggest mistakes people make with prospecting is the act of finding people who are buying now. That's like the biggest fallacy in outbound and prospecting in general, is I'm just going out there to capture existing demand. If that is your philosophy, you're going to miss out on the wide swath of the market that has business challenges, but they're not actively looking for a solution, right? This is it's a concept we've talked about again and again on this podcast, because it is so elemental and key to outbound sales. But you look at this as the buyer pyramid Imagine this was your entire total addressable market. The people that are buying right now is only 1 to 3%.
Exactly.
You and your whole sales team probably can't hit their quota on the 1 to 3%, your year-long quota. You need to be able to get to people that are not actively in market or people that don't even know that your solution exists. So that's why you have to take time and effort into how you go about having conversations with people, and what you say and how you represent your brand and the business problems really does matter. Because guess what? Good outbound drives good inbound. And that is my
I know.
Love it. We only have a few more minutes here. While we're I'm going to try and get one more conversation here. Cynthia, what's the best way for people to connect with you?
LinkedIn. I am always on LinkedIn. So you guys, if you add me on LinkedIn, you guys will always have me there. Like, feel free to send me a DM, add me, follow me. I'm always open to having more connections, learning more. And if you need advice, I'm always there.
Love that. Love that. Everybody reach out to Cynthia on LinkedIn. Connect with her if you're not already connected. Got 3 more minutes left. The dialer's running. We got a few conversations today, but I'm still at 110 dials on the session. 110 dials in, and we're hunting for more conversations here. I think I've had 4 actual back and forth conversations. Hey, this
For
is
an hour, that was really
Silver
good.
Sky. Robert, how you doing today? Robert? Oh, he hung up. Kyle has a question here. Just joining in. How long do you usually spend researching a prospect before calling him? Sorry if this was already covered. Kyle, I don't do research on any of my prospects before I call. That's a hot take. Why not? Don't you want to have a different, like a unique approach? Yes and no. So Kyle, if you put your entire total addressable market inside of this triangle here, the folks at the very top of the triangle, well, they have a problem and they're looking for a solution. They're trying to find people like you. They're probably going to come inbound to your website, but if you're lucky enough to stumble across them, it's going to be like a slam dunk, super easy, conversation. And you're going to nail it. The rest of these people, they don't know about the business challenge. They don't know that there are possible solutions to it. And you need to have conversations with them to understand that. Now, the reason research is not important with cold calls is because most of the time, you can't find people's business problems out in the open, right? Now, if I want to call this guy Robert back, who's like on my thing over here, like, why would I call him back and say, hey, Robert, saw you went to, X and Y university, go Buffs, or something like that. Like, that's not the kind of research that will move the needle in a conversation. The point of outbound is to have conversations with people about their business and things that are going wrong in their business, or things that they want to change, or things that they want, right? So business problems and valuable solutions are the 2 things we talk about. If they don't have a business problem, which guess what? A lot of people actually don't. If you look at this pyramid, most of the people are in this bottom piece. That means they either don't have a problem today, or they don't think that the problem's bad enough to do something about. Finding that out is way more important than doing any research on what their company does specifically, or this and that, right? The fallacy of research is important for cold calls keeps reps from making phone calls. And I'm very passionate about this, right? Ronan is too, by the way. Shout out to my partner, Ronan. Because it's just like, the thought of doing research just is going to slow you down tremendously. There you go. Dante knows. Time is money. Have more conversations. Do less research. Like, think of it that way. Can I have conversations about people's business with them? And with that ending monologue, we are done for the day, Cynthia. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. And let's stay in touch.
You too. Thank you so much.
Everybody come to Hop on Calls next week. Same time, same place.
Yeah. Awesome.
Make some live cool calls. Cheers.
Bye.